Good morning, good afternoon, and a very good evening to all of you who are joining us from across the globe. And welcome to Thema Talks webinar on safeguarding mangrove ecosystems. Thema Talks is an initiative of Thema Collection, which aims to provide a platform for experts and participants to discuss sustainability related topics and share their knowledge and experiences. In addition, we focus on creating a platform for collaborations and partnership among different stakeholders to address sustainability challenges and achieve common goals. On our 11th session on safeguarding mangrove ecosystems delves into the significance of Sri Lanka's mangroves and challenges they face, successful conservation endeavors, and notably the active involvement of youth in safeguarding these fertile ecosystems. To begin today's session, I would cordially invite Mr. Graham Marshall, Chair Marine Subcommittee and Wildlife Nature Protection Society of Sri Lanka. Mr. Graham, over to you.
Thank you very much. Good evening, good morning to, and good afternoon to all of you. So today's session will be, as you know, conservation of mangroves, and there are three of us from the Wildlife and Nature Protection Society who will take you through this. What I will essentially do is set the tone for my colleagues who are out there on the field and running a massive mangrove restoration project that the Wildlife and Nature Protection Society is currently involved with. And they will take you through some very enthralling aspects of this whole and exciting journey. So, getting on to what I have to do to ensure that they continue the story. The WNPS. Oh, are you able to see my screen? No, I don't think. Okay.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, yeah. Yes.
Okay. So the WNPS, essentially the Wildlife and Nature Protection Society, is a very established conservation organization in Sri Lanka, probably the oldest, 130 years old, and the third oldest conservation organization in the world. And we are actively involved with a 360-degree conservation approach. Most of us all are volunteers, and we have activity in marine, in human-elephant conflict, in leopard, with climate change. We also engage youth. We have a very active youth wing, and we have now started preparing the future generation to appreciate conservation. And we have wild kids. We base all our activity on sound science and facts. We have 4 prominent scientists on our general committee, and we also engage other academics and thought leaders in areas in this area, not only locally but internationally as well. We have our public lectures. Most of you probably have attended them. We also have a very strong legal footprint where we sometimes challenge conservation decisions, policy decisions. So essentially, that's what it is. So the WNPS is for the last 3 years involved with what is called an accelerated natural mangrove project in Anavilindava, which is off Chilau. The WNPS was invited by the Department of Wildlife Conservation to partner them as the principal science partner in this project. And also the ministry, obviously, being in the Ramsar wetlands, Anavilindava is a protected area, a Ramsar site. We also work closely with the Ministry of Environment, the Department for Forests, and the Vayamba University of Sri Lanka, who really leads and drives the science under the supervision of Professor Sevanthi Jayakodi, who's, of course, much more, but essentially, for simplicity, in this one, she's the head of the National Mangrove Expert Committee in Sri Lanka. So that's where it is. We are 3 years into the project, and what we're going to do is share with you some of the milestones in this journey, and some opportunities it has, and what it's probably looking out in the future. As you probably know, or not, if you don't, we're very proud to say that Sri Lanka as a nation won a United Nations flagship award for championing change in mangrove restoration this year. So it was momentous award, and congratulations and kudos to the policymakers, to the Department of Wildlife Conservation, to the Ministry of Environment, for drawing up a very robust mangrove conservation footprint in the form of the National Mangrove Policy, where where the country is looking at restoring mangroves. Just to give you a hint of an idea of where we stand, we have about 12 to 9 to probably 19,000 hectares of mangroves, which is about 0.3% of the land mass, and about 40 to 50% of our mangrove cover has been lost in the past 10 to 15 years. And that's due to various factors, anthropogenic factors, and one of the biggest threats is prawn and shrimp farming. So Sri Lanka won this award, and why they were awarded this award was that we follow a science-driven approach, and I'm going to come to the importance of this, and Tilina will take you into more depth. So it's a science-driven approach for restoration, and we all identified by decisions are made on data, on site-specific data, and essentially a tremendous amount depth and width of science is carried out in this whole effort. Then the collaborative efforts of multiple partners, the government, the private sector, academia, as I told you, and most importantly, community. Without community, there is no way that there can be successful conservation. And we have to engage community in order to ensure that these projects eventually feed back and drive community economics, which is an essential part of conservation. Focusing on reviving ecosystem services, which is what, again, I was talking to you about. In mangroves, we're talking about how do we generate incomes and economies, small economies of mangrove ecosystems. There's so much that these ecosystems can offer, from artisanal fishing to medicines to things like innovative productive tourism, various forms of ecosystem services that these generate. And also the involvement of youth in these projects, because the future of conservation obviously is in youth, and researchers who are going to be our future restoration leaders. And that's where Varuna will talk to you about this whole facet of how this can happen and her experience. It's going to be very enthralling, being a future restoration leader and what she has experienced over the last year or so, or probably 6 months, on this project. Listen, my message to everyone is this, in that we have been clearly awarded a flagship award for mangrove restoration, and Alavindawa has been one of the projects that was evaluated, one of the 2 projects that was evaluated. So the WNPS, being the principal science partner to the DWC, is extremely proud that its efforts have paid off. And what the message I'd like to leave is that conservation and regeneration is fine, but we must first conserve. There's no point trying to regenerate ecosystems because we're trying to regenerate destroyed ecosystems. If they're destroyed due to natural causes such as the tsunami, then what do? You have to regenerate. But most common are development and anthropogenic factors that lead to the degradation of these environments. We must first ensure that we try to conserve these environments. If the environments are damaged, then we restore, or what we call restore or regenerate, which is what we are doing. But what we should not be doing is cultivating or replanting. We don't need to cultivate or replant, because there's a whole lot of problems that arise in leave aside. It doesn't work. And this has been amply proved by a series of experience and a scientific paper, which I'd like to quote, that cultivation and replanting, that cultivation and replanting really doesn't work. So as I said, conserve first, if you have or see any threat or danger to any mangrove habitat, alert. There's the DWC, there's the law authorities. Try and conserve that little patch, or whatever you observe, or whatever you plan to do. Invest in conserving and of any mangrove patch. There are plenty, particularly around hotels in the coast. Talking to you guys, very applicable. Take a look at something that you probably have in your own backyards and try to conserve it. If it's really damaged, then see how you can restore or regenerate it, but don't try to do this on your own. It requires a lot of science and it requires help, but certainly it's worth the effort. And please do not indiscriminately or arbitrarily cultivate or attempt to replant. It just doesn't work. And why not? Because this paper has clearly shown, in terms of numbers, there was in 2017, Professor Kodikare and a team of scientists went on to show why replanting doesn't work. They attempted to replant in about 1,200 hectares of land, but just 200 hectares just showed some form of successful regeneration or restoration. There were 23 project sites that they worked on. 9 of these project sites showed absolutely no surviving plants. We're talking almost 40% or 40% of these sites that showed absolutely no survival. Only 3 of these sites showed survival rates of 50% or more, and 54% of the planting attempts resulted in complete failure. And now this is clearly shows that it doesn't work even, and you have stuff like, these plants being just dying off. There's no follow back. They're eaten by animals. Cattle attack is one very common issue that we face. And so just the lack of follow up, the lack of scientific process, such as the studying of the soil, and what species that can be accommodated in that particular environment, in that particular soil conditions. All that is very important. So essentially, replanting or arbitrary replanting, and it may be, and most of the time it is out of goodwill, but it just doesn't work. So we're saying don't replant, conserve, regenerate. If you're regenerating, do seek advice, and that's what we're all trying to do with all these projects. And what the government is trying to do is drop a blueprint for successful regeneration. Do not replant and cultivate. I'm going to end there, and Tilina and Varuni are going to take you on with the rest of the story in what's happening in Anavilindava. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Graham, for sharing those valuable knowledge with us and giving us that advices. Thank you very much once again. And next, I would like to invite our second speaker for the day. That will be Mr. Thilina Kumarasiri, Senior Research Officer, Wildlife and Nature Protection Society of Sri Lanka. Over to you, Thilina.
Thank you, Janet. Good evening, everybody. I hope you can hear me well.
Yes, they're all good.
Okay, let's go. Before taking you to the Accelerated Natural Regeneration Project, Mangrove Project at Anavilindava, I'd like to take you to the Anavilindava Sanctuary first, because then we will move into the project. So Anavilindava Ramsar Wetland Sanctuary is situated in Putnam district of Sri Lanka, northwestern province. It's a very important sanctuary in Sri Lanka because it has kind of unique qualities that we can only find in that place. So in 1997, it was declared as a sanctuary by Department of Wildlife Conservation. So in 2001, it was declared as a Ramsar wetland. So the importance and the unique quality I told you earlier is in Anavilindava Sanctuary, we can see 3 main ecosystem types. So when from Putlam to Colombo main road, when we enter into the sanctuary, first we are entering to a freshwater wetland ecosystem. Then we can see a kind of terrestrial and agricultural ecosystem at last. And the western boundary of the Anavilindava Sanctuary, we can observe a brackish water coastline ecosystem, because the western boundary of the Anavilindava Sanctuary is the Dutch Canal, which contains a brackish water. So in this vicinity, which Dutch Canal vicinity, which contains brackish water, like next to the Nagulelia village and Mutupanti village, in this area is kind of home for very rich mangrove habitat. So our project takes us there. So before that, I kind of give you a very tiny thing, very tiny introduction about what is a mangrove ecosystem. Because I know most of us now aware of what is a mangrove ecosystem. So we all know it's a salt-tolerant trees. So they have adaptation to survive in a harsh environmental condition, which any other plants uh, can't survive. So they have a unique adaptation to survive in these conditions. So they have salt filtration systems, complex root systems like pneumatophores, aerial roots, and that's the adaptations that they have a chance in these harsh conditions. So in Anavilundala, we have 13 true mangrove species. In Sri Lanka, we have 21. So Sri Lanka, we have 21 true mangrove species. In Anavilundala, 13. That means more than 50% of true mangrove species presented in Anavilundala. So these are the list of true mangroves present in Anavilundala. So you can see here, all the 13 true mangrove species are here. So here you can see two special names. Special names with this, all of these species are recorded in Sri Lanka before, but here you can see Nipah fruticus, which is gimpol, and Scipiflora hydrophyllaceae, which is in Sinhala called Kalu Kadol. So these two true mangrove species not recorded in that Mutupantiya Dutch Canal vicinity before. So during our project, during our very first baseline survey, we found these two plants. So why I'm talking about the available 13, now we have 21 true mangrove species. In Anavilunda, we have 13. Why I'm talking about this, I'm getting to there, why these numbers, why these lists are important. Okay, let's move into the Accelerated Natural Regeneration Mangrove Project. So the Department of Wildlife Conservation is the main partner. They are the custodians of the land, and WNPS involved as the main science partner, as Graham mentioned. The Environment University is there, Guidance Sri Lanka is there as main partners. So in 2021, Biodiversity Secretary of Ministry of Environment released national guideline for the restoration of mangrove ecosystems of Sri Lanka. So this actually all of us, anyone can download this publication from the Environment Ministry website. It's available for download. So this guideline was released in 2021. So this was directly involved by the Mangrove Expert Committee of Sri Lanka. So here I quoted something I recorded earlier from Society of Ecological Restoration's. Ecosystem restoration is the process of assisting the recovery of an ecosystem that has been degraded, damaged, or destroyed. That means we are not doing a replanting, or we are not just restoring a plants, or not restoring a flora. We are restoring an ecosystem. Not only that, we are restoring an ecosystem and its services also. That's what we are doing. So that means, like, if we found out like 50 years ago there was a very rich ecosystem, and somehow some anthropogenic activities have been damaged, degraded, or destroyed. So in 2024, that means we identified 50 years ago this was there. So restoration doesn't mean that we're going to recreate the same thing which 50 years ago. What was there? What is that? It's not restoration. Restoration means we are going to identify what was there in 50 years ago and what is the condition at the moment, what is the condition of the present. Then we are restoring what's suitable for the present conditions. So we can't recreate what was there exactly. So that's the type of the restoration. That's the meaning of the restoration. So at the NRM project, we are directly following these national guidelines for the restoration by Ministry of Environment. Okay, that book I told you, that book I showed you, have several conditions, several guidelines for the restoration, and one of the most important of these guidelines are site selection. because the restoration, in the restoration, maybe all the efforts, all the sites, all the decisions we make might be correct and effective, but if we choose the wrong site, if the site selection was wrong, then our all efforts might be useless because site selection is that much important for a mangrove restoration project. So this is our mangrove restoration site. You can see in this map, this is our restoration site. You can see a blue line in this map, that's the Dutch Canal, which is our water source. So very next to the Dutch Canal, you can see some mangrove vegetation. Then you can see a barren land. So as you see in the map, they are abandoned shrimp farms. We will get to there. So this is called as a Carson Water because a private sector company in 1986, they started the shrimp farm here. In 1991, they abandoned it. So you know, in 1991, now this is 2024, that is more than 30 years. This is how the area looks like. In this map also, you can see the surrounding area is covered with greenery patch. Some of them are paddy fields, but if you observe closely, there is natural vegetation around this site, but within the site, it just look like this. There are main two reasons for that. One is this soil, the soil of this area is highly disturbed due to some aquaculture practices and the aquaculture practices. This is one reason. And other reason is because of the aquaculture practices, they made some barriers, the man-made barriers. Because of these barriers, the waterways are blocked, water is not entering to the site. That means water is not entering means there is no chance for natural dispersion of seeds or any other flora or fauna thing. If some
Excuse me, Thilina, sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
If you could get a little bit more closer to the mic or maybe speak up a little bit loud, yes, that would be great.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so then this looks like this. So because of these man-made barriers, Jani, I hope now it's fine.
Yes, Thilina. So better if you could stay more closer to the mic. I think you'll be very audible then.
Okay, thank you. Sorry for the inconvenience. So because of these man-made barriers, it's really hard for the natural dispersion. So this is the situation. So site selection means the Department of Wildlife Conservation clearly identified this place before 1986, before this place used as a shrimp farm, there was mangroves. So there was a mangrove habitat, mangrove vegetation there before the shrimp farms. So shrimp farm is established here by destroying that mangroves. So then this area was then all the baseline surveys done. Then you can see after WNPS signed the MOU with Department of Wildlife Conservation, this is a picture taken at the very first baseline survey. You can see Dr. Malik Fernando, Mr. Graham, and all the people here. So with these baseline surveys, identify this is a proper place to restore mangroves. So why I mentioned you earlier about that 13 true mangrove species list, because just because Sri Lanka have 21 mangrove species, we are not taking all the 21 mangroves into this site. As an example, I'll take Soneratia alba. We all know Kerala. Soneratia alba or Soneratia castellaris, we know it's a true mangrove, but it's not naturally present in Anavilundava or Mutupanthi or Nagulelio, this area, the vicinity of our mangrove restoration site. So we are not planting Soneratia inside our restoration because in natural vicinity, we don't have that plant. So what we are trying to do is we're trying to repeat the natural vegetation. We are trying to take the natural vegetation inside to this barren land, inside this degraded area. So we are not introducing, because some plant is a natural mangrove, that means we are doing a mangrove restoration project. We don't need to take all the 21 mangrove species to here. So with the baseline survey, we identified this is the proper place to mangrove restoration. Then our first challenge was taking water inside the plots, inside the restoration site. So for that, we need to create canals. So we want to that. So in this slide, you can see 1 and 2. I number this 1 and 2, 3 and 4. 4 photos. 1 and 2 is the same plot. So you can see the clear difference between 1 and 2. and 3 and 4. 3 and 4 is another two plots. 1 and 2 is the same plot. In 1 and 2, you can see all the canal lines are direct. They are very straight and very symmetrical. But in 3 and 4, it's not like that. So all these canal systems are in our research side. We did all these things. Very first, we did this method is called fishbone method, which is a kind of standard method in a mangrove restoration, because this method is good for mangroves because it contains most of the sediments. It retains most of the sediments coming with the high tide. So in the first two photos, 1 and 2, these straight lines, the straight canals were created by us. Then we understood because we are not manually pumping water into these canals, because manual pumping is not a good thing for not good thing or not suitable thing for mangrove restoration, because one day we need to get away from this side. One day these mangroves need to survive their own. So if we manually pumping water, then after when we're going away, they will destroy. So it's not happening. So in these our canals, in these fishbone systems, in these plots, when the high tide is there, water is getting in. When low tide, water is going out. Somehow water retain in these plots. So in these straight canals, we realize the high tide is not good enough to cover entire area. Some areas are not covering with water. So then we did number 3 and 4 kind of canal systems. Why go to these 3 and 4? This is the reason. This is the driving force us to go to that kind of a canal system. Sri Lanka Navy, the hydrography unit of Sri Lanka Navy did a complete contour map survey at our site. So they, sorry, so they developed a complete contour map, all the elevations of the our site. In the right side of the slide, you can see the contour map developed by Sri Lanka Navy. So now we know the contour lines. We know the high elevation areas of our plots, the low elevation areas of our plots. Sorry. So then we followed these contour lines and created this number 3, 4, these like of fishbone methods, which is really successful. Now, even in the driest period of the year, water is retaining in these canals, which is really good for the flora, not only flora, the mangrove associated fauna also. So you can see the photos of the Sri Lanka Navy conducting the hydrography survey. So I take this as an opportunity to thank Sri Lanka Navy for this remarkable service. This is the very first time in Sri Lanka that a Sri Lankan the hydrography survey used for a restoration purpose. This is the very first time in Sri Lanka, because we realized there is no point of cutting canals without identifying the elevation of the site. So we request from Sri Lanka Navy, so they came and that's why once I remember once Professor Sevan Chakodi, which is our technical head of the project, mentions partnerships are the key to success of these kind of projects. So this is a one sorry example for that remarkable partnerships. Okay, then I will go for the nursery preparations, because after the canal cutting, after taking water inside, we need to plant, because accelerated natural regeneration means first we need to plant some, then we accelerate in the natural process. So seed collection, we are collecting some seeds. So we are not plucking any seeds, because we are only collecting fallen seeds, because plucking is not suitable for restoration, because we think it's when the seeds mature, it should get down. So then our community around the natural restoration site, they coming for preparation of nurseries and other maintenance, watering and all other things. So these are our nurseries we maintained like a year ago when we started this project. So this is kind of important thing. Not only in the nurseries, even in the canals. After we planting plants in the canals, we taking these measurements periodically, like 1 month, once a month, twice a month. In the very early stages, we're taking it once a week. Then once a month, we're taking these measurements, because these measurements are kind of, it's not a very hard thing, and it's a, if maybe someone think when seeing these diagrams, it's a very easy thing. Yes, it's kind of easy, but it's very simple thing, but it's not a simple thing. The idea giving from this data are really important because they are giving the growth progress, the growth rate, the survivability, and all other things, because these are really important. What Graham mentioned in earlier, uh, we can't, after planting, we can't just, okay, we planted, we are done. No, this is not we are doing. After planting, we are observing and measuring the success of what we are doing. So with data, we can compare with some other projects in Sri Lanka, some other projects in the international level. We can compare what is our progress, what is our growth rate. If we are in a good position or we are in a bad position, then we can address these answers. If you are in a bad position, then we can find the solutions for that. So these data are really important. So I can guarantee, I can tell you, in Anavilunda mangrove restoration project, we have more than 80% of survivability at the moment. So not only the nursery, we are going for direct planting as well, because we are working with 13 pro mangrove species. The planting method is different from species to species. So we identified that Rhizopora species, Rhizopora micronata, Rhizopora apiculata. We thinking that nursery is not very much important because we can go for direct planting. But species like Staphylococcus granatum, nurseries are much needed, nursery treatments. So I'll show you some progress of planting. So see, these are taken like the distance of these photos like a month. See. So now I told you that first we studied the area, we selected the site, then we created the connection between the upper water source and our restoring lands, then we planted. Then, not after that, but from the beginning, we are doing biodiversity assessment and surveys because we need to understand the natural biota, the natural biodiversity of the area, because that data is what we're going to use for our restoration project. So we need to understand what is the flora species around, what is the fauna species around, and what is coming and going. So what is the new things and what we are losing. So we are continuing biodiversity assessment. So mangrove phenology survey is one thing. The marine project coordinator of the WNPS, Samangi, is the in charge of this survey. So from the in this mangrove phenology survey, we are covering, we are recording the flowering seasons, the fruiting seasons, and all the every month we have randomly tagged plants. We are going there and we are recording every month what is the status of the plant. They are not the plants planted by us; they are natural plants. So we are recording all this. These data. One day we can create a mangrove phenology calendar for Sri Lanka from this data. So we have a good idea about what is the season, so fruiting season, what is the seeding season, and what is the flowering season for particular mangrove species in Anavilunda. Sorry. So bird diversity survey, we're doing a faunal biodiversity survey as much as we can. So bird diversity survey is one of that. The Varuni will talk to you later. So she's working on that. She's the in charge person of that survey. So we have Dr. Jagat Gunawardhan also involved. Mr. Graham is kind of involving this survey. So we are recording every month. We are recording what are the bird species around our site and the around vicinity of Anavilunda sanctuary. So, sorry. Then the butterfly diversity survey also kind of Mr. Jayaveera from Department of Wildlife Conservation is the expert person, and for the bird survey, Mr. Dulani Dhanapathiran involving as the resource person. So Mr. Ashan is the in charge person for this butterfly survey. He's from BSL. So we are continuing as a bird bird survey. Every month we are continuing this survey. So this is a water quality parameter assessment. Every month we are checking the water quality inside our plots, outside our plots, Dutch canal, our paddy field outlets, the shrimp farm outlets, because we need to identify the water quality and soil quality as well for the good practice of restoration, because the restoration efforts, the growth of the plant, the natural regeneration of plants directly depend on the water quality. So every month we are taking this data, and all the decisions we're making for the planting programs are depending on this data. So we are creating awareness as much as we can. University students, school children, like every month, some of them are visiting our site as much as we can. We are involving them to our project, to our tasks, and we are as much as we can. We are creating awareness because we believe awareness is key. Uh, because the future generation then will involve in this kind of activities, so they will realize importance of these things. So I need to mention the community involvement because our project vicinity is actually the Muthupanti is the closest village to our project. So these people, when we are initiating this project, some of them are not very much have a good positive attitude towards our project because of several reasons. But now I can guarantee you, they are working with our project and they have really positive hopes on our project because one is reason is awareness. We must need to give a huge credit to Mr. Upananda, the in charge person of Department of Wildlife Conservation at Anavilundava. So he really worked on this and created a great awareness with the villagers, and the villagers are the community really good, and they involved with our works, and they have kind of income from this task as well. So finally, the Varune will speak about the research opportunities at NRM. So I'm passing the baton to Varune by telling the research at NRM site. So already we have conducted various research, some researchers, like some of them are undergraduate, some of them are postgraduate. So somehow most of the research are directly, most of them are directly the samples and all the things collected from NRM site at Anavilundava. Some of them are, Anavilundava site is one of the sites for some research, but most of them are directly dependent on Anavilundava. So you can see here in this research, is some of the research are like product development research. So all kind of research are there. Last time, like 5 months ago, more than 10 undergraduate students worked at on NRM site. They came here, they collect samples, analyze their samples, and now they are working on publishing their findings. So NRM sites become a great place to research. So young people who are starting their sorry, their careers in research, this is a good place to their study because we have opportunity, we can facilitate them for their work. These are some photos of these research students worked at our site. So finally, the expected benefits from Project NRM is definitely increase the mangrove cover and enhance the biodiversity and income level of adjoining communities. And future prospect of the project is conduct a field research center. It's already here, already operating, and field laboratory is there. Students are working here. Most of the research are happening there. And nature-based tourism is what we are working. In future, definitely the nature-based tourism will be promoted in this project, and the information dissemination also one of the future prospects of this project NRM. So that's all I thought to share with you today. So I hope you hear me, and if have any problem with the sound, I'm really sorry for the inconvenience. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Thelina, for sharing those information with us. And it's lovely to see how involved you all are with this community and the environment. And I think we should really appreciate more of the community service you all are doing in this sense. So thank you once again, Thelina. Moving to our next speaker of the day, I would like to invite Ms. Varuni Thisera, Research Officer, Wildlife and Nature Protection Society of Sri Lanka. Over to you, Varuni.
Thank you, Jaini. Okay, now I think that all of you have a clear and broad idea about why we should go for mangrove restoration rather than mangrove planting, and also what we are doing in the Anavilindava site. And Thinaya already explained and gave you a clear idea about the things what we are doing here and what is the positions now we are in. So now I'm going to share with you about thing that related to my journey toward the mangrove conservation, because when I'm sharing my things with the youth, the enthusiastic youth, young people who are meeting me while engaging with different activities, the most frequently asking questions from them are that why did I join this path, choose this path, and how did I join to this mangrove conservation project, and what are the things that I am engaging with, and what are the opportunities that they can have, and how they can join for these activities. So therefore, basically, I'm going to talk about and give the answers to those questions, because one day that the youth that who are willing to join these kind of activities, I think that these things may be helpful for them. So therefore, first of all, I would like to share my ideas about why did I choose this path. Basically, it is because of that during my undergraduate period, even I did a degree program related to food science. There was some couple of subjects that I was able to study the things related to environment and the oceanography, and those subjects are coordinated by Professor Sevandi Jayakodi, and Mr. Graham already mentioned about the Professor Sevandi. She is the main technical advisor of this project. And during that time, I got a broad idea about the mangrove conservation. And at the same time, I was volunteering in some societies in university, which is related to conservation of environment. And I got a broad knowledge about the climate change. And that time, I got a sense that I should do something to protect our environment and to mitigate the climate change. And that is one of the reasons to choose this path for my future career. And then at the same time, when I'm doing my intern in Ministry of Foreign Affairs, where in the Ocean Affairs Division, at the same place, I also engage with the things that related to the climate change, ocean affairs, and environment. But during that time, I realized that as a young people, and we have more youth energy. So then we should be in the field and actively engage with these restoration activities. And I also thought that this is not the place where I belong, because I want to be in the field and actively engage with the activities. Then because of those two reasons, I chose to be in the field. And then fortunately, I got a chance to apply for the opportunity in the WNPS and to come to this NRM site. And then after I apply, I got selected. And then about 8 months ago, I came here, and I'm fully now based in the Anavilindava Ramsar Anavilindava NRM site. Even though I came here 8 months ago, first I came here to the NRM site during my undergraduate research, because at the time, as I mentioned earlier, that I was able to do some subject related to environment. Then my interest was shifted to environment. Then with Professor Sevandi Jayakodi, I was able to do my undergraduate research in accelerated natural regeneration of mangrove site in Anavilindava, and also for other mangrove sites in Sri Lanka. And I did soil physiochemical analysis of soil physiochemical parameters in those mangrove restoration sites, those 5 mangrove restoration sites. And then I was able to come to Anavilindava sites for sampling. And during that time, I met Tinaya and other officers who are working there, and because of their support, we were able to do the sampling. And at that time, also the Tinaya and others are engaging with those activities and doing the research with the students. And with me, there were three other students who did the research related to mangroves, and some did product development, some did water quality assessment. So uh, that's the point that I started to learn more, think about the mangrove restoration and conservation, and I can consider this as my first step towards the mangrove conservation efforts. And then, as I mentioned, I joined here as a research officer recently, and now I'm engaging with many research activities who are conducted by undergraduates. And as I think I mentioned earlier, that we already conducted many research with undergraduates, and there are many opportunities in this site that students can come and do their research and provide something valuable, scientifically valuable to the community, which will be beneficial for future mangrove conservation and conservation of other ecosystems. So here we are conducting mangrove soil analysis, and then total carbon assessment and pollution level assessment, also studies related to microplastic and product development, and also studies related to biodiversity. So there are many variability in the studies that we are conducting here. And of course, I should mention that because of this vast area of research, I was able to, and I'm able to take many experience and knowledge, because it's not limited to one area. Because of that, we can have broad idea about this ecosystem and other aspects. And also, as again, as mentioned by Tinaya, that we are conducting many surveys once a month in our restoration site to assess the progress and to monitor the biodiversity. And therefore, I'm mainly responsible for the bird survey. And therefore, that now despite the mangrove ecosystem, and I'm studying about the other biodiversity in the field. So it's really helped me for my future studies, because this experience and this knowledge are really important for me to proceed for my future goals. And here we are conducting water quality, gastropod surveys, and butterfly surveys, and also the plant survival assessment surveys. So here you can see some of the photographs that we have taken while doing those surveys. And also, time to time, we are conducting many field visits, and many undergraduates from different universities, cooperative sector, the private sector people who are they are coming into the field and engaging with us with the surveys and other plant restoration related activities. So, I am engaging with those activities, and it is really enjoyable, and it's really interesting to be with them and share the knowledge and taking their ideas, and to talk with them and guide them towards these mangrove conservation efforts. And of course, with all of this, also we are conducting community trainings in our site, and I was responsible for the conducting this community training, and we are conducting this training. We already recently conducted a training to the community in Anavilundava, and it is about uplifting their livelihood, because through this, our intention is to encourage them to sustainably utilize the resources available there and make sense in their mind to protect this vital ecosystem, and then sustainably utilize this and go towards the environment resilience. Therefore, we recently conducted one of those training, and here are some of the photographs, and they are really happy about that training, and they're keen about to engage with the restoration activities. And then I will tell you how do all these contribute to me. Because as a young girl who recently joined to this activity, this helped me a lot to improve myself and my experience, my knowledge. By totally being in full time, being in a remote area, in a area where there's a harsh condition. So, but I really enjoy being here because it provides me a lot of experience that we cannot take by being in other areas. So one thing is that already Mr. Graham mentioned that that the Sri Lanka received the World Restoration Flagship Award, and I take this opportunity to thank the pioneers who lead this project, that lead this mangrove restoration, and who achieved this. And I'm really happy to and when I'm seeing all of this, that it gives me a sense that okay, I have contributed and I'm engaging with some very important and very useful thing that will guide us and that will contribute for climate change mitigation and conservation of the environment. And that self-satisfaction is one of the major things that I have I gained through the joining to this project. And also, other thing is that by joining to this project, I met a very like-minded people and very knowledgeable, very inspiring experts who guide me. And therefore, I'm really lucky to be here and to have such kind of people and to meet those kind of people. And it is another thing that I have achieve through through joining to this project. And same time, as I mentioned, we are engaging with a lot of research activities, and with those research activities, we are able to write research papers. So with that, we can share our knowledge and improve my knowledge, because as I just start my career, these experience and these research knowledge and the scientific knowledge are very important for my future studies and future career path. So this knowledge, within this short month period, I took a lot of knowledge that I didn't expect. So I think it is another major thing that I achieved through this by joining to this project. And also there are many opportunities to build our capacity by engaging in trainings and other field visit and those things. So I should highlight that also. And with all this, I had a chance, and I'm having a chance to engage with different communities, the rural community, the cooperative sectors, private sectors, government sector. I am having a lot of chances to meet them and share their knowledge, and all of these are really important to me as I'm in the beginning of my career. So I think totally, and by taking this as a whole, I have gained a lot of benefits by being in this field and joining for this project. And therefore, I would like to thank everyone who guided me for this journey. And as the end of my discussion and sharing my ideas, I would like to highlight one quote that I'm taking as my motto, that there's no one giant step that does it. It's a lot of little steps. So we can link this to our personal life and also to our journey to environment conservation, including the ecosystem like mangroves. Because if we can take that one single step that we can take, then it will be a collection of lot of little steps, and then we can make a huge impact to our environment and also our life. Therefore, I invite all the young and youth generation to do as much as possible and take that one small step that you can take to conserve our precious ecosystem and then create a huge impact to our world and to protecting our mother nature. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Varuni, for sharing that information with us. And it's actually very nice to see the young generation getting involved in this kind of project and showing interest in this kind of area, which actually I think, like you all mentioned, the credit needs to be given to your fellow the lecturers and your mentors who have guided you all through to show and given you all interest in this kind of areas. I would once again like to extend a thank to our esteemed panel of speakers today, Mr. Graham Marshall, Mr. Tirina Kumarasiri, and Ms. Varuni Thisera. Thank you very much for sharing all that knowledge with us today. And also a special thank goes to the Marine Subcommittee of WNPS for collaborating with us today. Moving to the Q&A session of today's webinar, we have Ms. Chalani. Going to her question. What other opportunities does WNPS provide for youth to participate in field work and research related to mangroves? Are there collaboration opportunities to raise awareness about mangroves among the youth? So, one of our speakers, start with Mr. Graham, if you could answer that.
Sure. Yeah, thank you very much. Good question. I think you've heard most of it in what Varuni and Tilina have to say. The floor is open in the project. There is Varuni is a living example of that. She's chosen a career on the field. Tilina has also chosen a career on the field. He's now doing his MPhil on the project. So he's going to be studying there for the next 3 years, doing his master's thesis. There are also, as again Varuni was saying, 14 or 15 other research projects that are in progress as we speak, also done by university undergraduates and postgraduate students. That is research opportunities that the project offers. There is also and also paid positions like with Tilina and Varuni, who are employees of the WNPS. That's on the project by itself. Of course, we have other scientific projects and other employees working on various other projects. There is endemics project where we're looking at protecting species of endemics. We have human-elephant conflict. We have work with leopard. So all these projects that the WNPS is involved in offer opportunities both for, of course, for youth, for academia, for researchers, and we're looking, as I said at the start, we are at core a scientific-based organization. We have 4 prominent scientists on our general committee. Most and all of our work comes out of a core of science, and we are essentially looking for good quality or looking for scientists, and also looking for happy to give scientists and students an opportunity to work with us, and that's exactly what is happening. So I hope that has answered your question, but if you need further clarity, ensure to reach out again.
Thank you very much, Mr. Graham. And I would just like to ask one more question from our end. So we see that the youth is actually, Sri Lankan youth is showing a lot of interest in this area now. So are there any plans to take these projects internationally, or maybe to collaborate with foreign universities or foreign students? Do we have any future plans as such?
Well, no huge plans, but it's happening. We've had, Tirina, am I correct? We've had a few foreign students visiting the site. There is, at the moment, we're too involved with so much work to do here. So there is not that we are not, but we're really focused on the work that we're doing here. and there have been a couple of foreign students, one or two, am I correct, Ilran?
Yes, true.
Yeah, who have come and worked on our project. So it's not something that we are going after now. It probably can happen, but certainly it is obviously with collaboration for students is on. There is collaboration between like-minded organizations for sure. We are supported by US Forest Service. We're supported people like DEFRA, CEFAS. So a lot of support from the World Mangrove Federation. Plenty of support coming in both in IP and also hardware. So essentially, yeah, there is collaboration for projects in the country, which, you know, there is so much to do. But yes, at some point, I guess this will happen.
I believe we can be very positive where we will be having a lot of more foreign students, universities involving, seeing all the hard work and the effort our students here
Hopefully.
are putting, I'm pretty sure.
Hopefully. Thank you.
Thank you very much for answering our questions. And once again, I would like to thank our speakers today. We really appreciate you sharing this knowledge with us today. And hopefully we will be able to have another session, maybe with more information on this and to share it with our fellow audience. So that brings us end to the webinar session for today. For more information on our Thema Collection Sustainability Journey, you can visit www.themacollection.com and also follow our social media pages where we post all of our sustainability related activities. If you do have any further questions or would like to collaborate with us, please do email us on mgr.sustainability@Thema Collection. Looking forward to seeing you all in our next webinar. Until then, stay connected. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Jani. Thank you, Ashan.
Thank you very much,
Thank you,
everyone.
Tilina. Thank you, Barmi, and listening to us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for
Thank
everyone.
you. Have a good night.